The evidence seems to indicate that you're watching dolly fishing.
Unravels crackling through the heat. Lost soul shouting echoes in the night. Mock the truth while live on air light. Jumping up, dolly pieces dreaming real. True crime scene blasting feels so unreal. YouTube madness like share, subscribe. Jack's on fire, burning the world fire. Where's the baby missing shadows crawl? Whisper footsteps down the hall. Fingerprints of the dead, cold as stone. He's got the scoop, best around town known. Dolly vision headlines, king of peace. Truth unravels, crackling through the heat. Lost soul shouting echoes in the night. Rock the truth while live on air light.
What is up, YouTube? Dolly back in the house. And I told you I would be here to cover this case. It has just started. Court started a little bit late today. So this is day 2, LORI VALLOW conspiracy murder trial. But of course, make sure you leave your DNA on that like button just in case LORI VALLOW breaks out of prison and tries to snipe you, okay? Digs her brother up out the grave and comes for you. You're going to need Dolly to protect you, okay? So let's jump right over because it's already started. Let me share the screen with y'all. And let's let the crazy begin, all right? Because we know this lady's crazy.
It's a good chance it's going to fall off. And it's the same as a projectile on a vehicle also.
Okay.
Here we go.
How far down were the fragments that you found into the hole that was made in the Tesla?
It was located by another detective, but it was easy enough for us to retrieve.
So like it
I don't,
inside the hole somewhere.
yes.
But just so I understand, the bullet breaks apart, is that correct?
Yes.
And so maybe the majority fell out and those pieces were left inside.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how much of the bullet was taken apart or how much damage that bullet or projectile would have had.
Okay. But some of the pieces could be in there and the majority of it could fall out?
That's the theory, yes.
And it wouldn't be wedged in?
We didn't locate anything that was wedged in.
But that could have been due to just driving around the block because, like you said, the car jostles.
It jostles.
I didn't understand the question.
She didn't understand
If
the
the car
question.
had not been in motion, then the bullet should have been intact. Is that correct?
No, when a bullet hits, it depends on the type of bullet, frangible or non, the make, the model. If it hits a solid object, bullets have different properties. So some will break apart a little easier than others. Some will go right through. It just depends on the make and the model of the bullets.
Okay. So no testing was done on this bullet to find out what kind of bullet it was?
Hey, Katie.
The projectile. Correct.
I mean, no.
I did not send it for testing.
Okay. Is that something that could be found out?
What do you mean?
What kind of bullet it was from the fragments?
I believe there's a test that possibly does it.
Okay. And you didn't think that was necessary?
I was not the case detective on this.
Okay.
She has her note. She's ready for court today. Good morning, Lady Justice, for justice.
So since those bullet fragments were not tested in any way, the markings on there that you had testified to yesterday that were copper were part of the jacket, is that correct?
The coloring,
Yes.
the color, yes,
So that's just from
The
a visual,
legend of
that's not
true
from any kind of
crime.
testing of the copper, is that correct?
right.
Okay, so just looking at
It's
it.
the color.
Okay, that color, copper color, could have been from the Tesla itself?
I didn't see any copper coloring on the outside of that.
Good
Tesla.
afternoon
It was
to
white
you.
in color.
Okay. And then when you said you canvassed the neighborhood, or the Gilbert Police Department canvassed the neighborhood, there was no camera coverage to your knowledge, is that correct?
People I talked to did not have any. I believe there was
Hey, Judy.
camera footage found by other detectives or officers. Yes.
Y'all hit the like
there
as you
was.
come in. There's only
Possibly,
100
yes.
people with
But
us.
you did not.
It's been a
discover it.
long time since there's only been 100
have never
people in this
seen any?
room.
No.
Okay. And have you been working on this case this whole time, or what was your involvement as far as from October 2nd to when you worked on this case?
The original call out I was part of, and then I was requested
Razzle
to,
dazzle.
go execute the search warrant on the Ford F-150. And that was December 23rd.
And that kind of ended your
Yes.
dealings with this case?
Yes.
She's just hoping Chad's watching from
So all of
prison.
the reports that you had written were in between that time frame?
Yes.
Okay. No more questions, Your Honor.
All right, redirect.
She needs to be tased right in the mouth. Something.
Detective, I'm going to start with sort of where we were just ending and go back to some issues from yesterday. In this Tesla, did you note damage to the molding where the window would have gone up into the frame of the Tesla?
Yes.
Can I have the ammo, please? Thank you.
You got my
Looking here,
17-year-old saying razzle dazzle.
So would it be fair to say that there's not a great seal anymore between where the window went up into the frame and the car itself?
That is correct.
And did you also view the glass itself?
Yes.
That was laying on the driveway?
Yes.
And did you also, Exhibit 46, note that little notch or divot in the glass itself?
Yes.
And was that sort of consistent with the location of where the window would have gone up into the frame of the vehicle?
That is correct.
So when you're talking about
Definitely.
the seal of a window going up into the frame, does the fact that the molding was broken and that there's a divot in the glass and the glass was completely shattered impact whether or not all those fragments or pieces of that projectile might remain inside the Tesla?
There was a good chance they would fall out of the Tesla.
Because the seal is no longer the same as it once was, right?
Correct.
You were asked yesterday about the length of the
70 likes
Bullet
so
hole or
far.
the size of this bullet hole? Do you recall that?
Yes.
When you're talking about the A here, were you trying to measure from not just the damage of where the bullet started to impact or cause that concaveness in the frame, but just the actual hole itself?
Yes.
Does that still tell you the size of the bullet?
No.
That's just the damage that it caused as it entered into the frame of this Tesla?
That is correct.
You know they're going to find her guilty.
You were asked yesterday about casings and fragments, and can we explain what a casing is, what a projectile is, and what fragments are?
Sure. A casing is what the bullet is contained in. That's where the black powder and the actual bullet itself is attached to. A casing is usually disc, and it's usually, it could be caught, it depends on what kind of weapon there is. Revolvers actually keep the casings in as a circle. Rifles are known to, could keep the casing inside until you eject it yourself. The semi-automatic weapons which police use and which are more common, they have it's a semi-action. It will eject the casing out. The casing just holds the bullet. Once the bullet is fired from the gun, it comes out very, very hot. We're trying to explain is when it hits a certain item, it just depends on the integrity of the bullet itself. How strong is that bullet? Is it going to be strong enough to go through metal? Usually not. And so once it hits an item, it is compromised. The bullet is compromised and it makes fragments. It falls apart. And that's where the fragments come from. And that's what we found in this Tesla, with just fragments of the actual bullet.
I think they both played part in it, 50-50.
When we're talking about the fragments that you recovered, those pieces of the projectile after it broke apart and after it had first gone through or into the Tesla frame.
Yeah, that's
metal,
crazy.
And then broke apart. That's what you're talking about when you talked about the fragments that you recovered?
That is correct.
Now, the defendant asked you about casings and if you found any at the scene. Do you recall that line of
Thank you,
questioning?
I do
Diana.
remember that.
If you were advised that the person firing the rifle was laying or lying in wait inside of the back of a Jeep, that only part of the barrel of that rifle came out the rear window, and then the rifle was fired, where would you expect that casing to land?
More than likely, it would still be inside that vehicle, the Jeep.
Okay, so you would not expect it to fly forward out of the Jeep and land out on the ground?
No.
The defendant asked you about if you saw a casing over by the pool. Would you expect, absent, I guess, a hole in the floor of the Jeep, to find the casing over there if it was still in the Jeep?
No.
So,
Never found the casing next to a pool.
but you wouldn't expect to find a casing over
No.
there, right?
No.
There was no evidence of anyone shooting over there,
Right.
and there would be no reason for a casing to be over there.
Correct.
So in this case, given the information you were given, were you surprised that you didn't find a casing?
No. It's it doesn't mean we don't look for the casing. We automatically look for the casings. But since it was inside of a vehicle, it's just like a drive-by shooting type of thing. We'll say once we pull the car over, the casings will be inside that vehicle, most likely. Then one or two might pop out if they have their gun outside the window, something like that, the casing might. But usually we search, there was no casing found in this. So we determined it was more likely than not, inside that vehicle still.
And the casing was in the windowsill? Sorry.
Yeah, the casing was more likely than not inside that vehicle still.
Inside the Jeep still?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Are there any questions from the jury? I don't see any. Sir, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
When did the jury get to ask questions? Yeah, this case is a weird one. This is like the Twilight Zone. You got the expectant killer asking the questions. She's like a female Ted Bundy. This lady's a total basket case that murdered her own kids. Wow.
All right, ma'am, come on up here. You're going to stand right here in front of my clerk and be sworn in.
Hello. Can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Do they, Willow? I didn't know that.
Raise your right hand, please.
You learn something new every day.
Believe the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
What if when they ask you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, you say, oh, hell nah. I ain't telling the damn truth. What happens then? They put you in jail
Yeah,
for
go ahead.
contempt?
Right here. You'll scoot into that microphone there.
Thank you, Sage, for posting that. That is a good way to help us get on the road. All right, who's this chick? She got a big forehead.
To the jury.
My name is Lynette
And what's your last name?
Mendoza.
Thank you. Do you currently live here in Arizona?
I do.
Her hairline is
Back
way
on
back.
October 2nd of 2019, where did you live?
In Gilbert,
And what was your address back then?
3893 East Fairview Street.
Oh, Lord.
And
She's been hanging out with the Mac Alberts.
how long did you live at that location?
In total, 6 years.
Okay. I'll show you.
She on Fairview. Oh, Lord. 34 Fairview Street. Karen Reed said she backed over John O'Keefe.
You to look at Exhibit 2, a map.
I
Does
know. I didn't
that
say
show
nothing.
Sort of
I
the
just
area
said
of your neighborhood as well
I just said her
as,
hairline's a little back
where your
there.
house would have been located back in October 2nd of 2019.
Yes.
State will move to admit Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No objection.
Two is admitted.
She's trying to get another judge again. She doesn't give up.
Okay. So you told us your address was 3893 East Fairview Street.
Yes.
We see Fairview here on Exhibit 2. Approximately where was your residence on this map?
It is the house on the very corner.
Is it the corner of Fisher and Fairview? Or which corner are we talking about?
It's been a little while. It's been a little while. I'm sorry. It's,
There's a map right in front of you.
oh, sorry. I'm trying to think. Record. Turn
This
down.
is Fairview.
Right, so it's either Fisher or Cole, I can't remember which street corner. So there's a park and it's right on the corner.
Okay.
Fry, Record, turn in, Morelos around to Fairview.
Let me put up 3. Is this the park you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So right on the corner here.
Cole, Phillips. Yes, right there on the corner.
So you're
Right there, yes, right there. Yes, that's the house.
back on October 2nd of 2019. Did you have a Ring doorbell?
Yes,
Did your front door sort of face out towards Fairview Street?
yes,
And do you recall sort of where your Ring doorbell was located?
yes.
Where was it?
What's up, pretty bird?
So from the front door, it sat off to the left-hand side if I was in the home at the front, and it faced out towards that street.
Did it sometimes get a little bit of this intersection here?
All the time, yes.
Okay. And was it sort of motion activated?
Yes.
Okay. So that means that when there was some sort of vehicle going by, it might activate it to start recording.
Yes.
Do you recall back on October 2nd, an officer coming around and asking you if you had a ring system and to kind of look in the time range of 9:15-ish to see if you had any footage of vehicles going by?
I do.
And were you asked to email any recordings to the police department?
Yes,
And did you do that?
I did.
And Your Honor, I can show defense counsel or the defendant Exhibit 120, if I can have my paralegal show that to the witness. Did you recognize that as your residence
Yes.
and your ring video
Yes.
and the footage that you sent to the police?
Yes.
Did it have both audio and video?
Yes.
State will move to admit Exhibit 120.
Any objection?
No objection.
120 is admitted.
Yes, if we could move to the And if we could just show at the beginning we missed where.
Wow, that is loud.
So when you had you had your ring video, would it sometimes like glitch and you'd see a vehicle like we saw in the beginning, a black vehicle?
Yes.
So in this video, were you asked to look for vehicles and a sound of any shooting?
I remember being asked to look for a vehicle crossing in that time, and I saw that at the beginning of the vehicle you see, or the video, you see the vehicle, and that was what I noticed first.
Okay. And then when you were watching it yourself, you heard a bang noise?
Correct.
And so, given that, looking for the black vehicle and then you noticing the bang, that's what you sent to the police?
Yes.
And that's your home, sort of looking out, as we said, of Fisher and Fairview.
Yes.
Thank you. State has no other questions for this witness.
Cross-examination?
No, Your Honor, no cross.
Any questions for this witness from the jury? Don't see any. Ma'am, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, she didn't cross-examine her.
All right, members of the jury, we took Mr. Boudreaux's cross-examination out of order. We're now going to complete that, so I'm going to ask Mr. Boudreaux to come back up. All right, sir, go ahead and have a seat on the witness stand. You're still under oath. I'll just remind you to try to speak into that microphone. All right, the defendant can start her cross-examination of this witness.
Uh-oh, here we go. Cross.
Your Honor, when Robert Abernathy gets here, he has some photos and things I need to have marked. So
Okay.
can we stop for a minute when he gets here to do
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Just have him go right up to the clerk when he gets here. And get him
Okay.
marked.
Mr. Boudreaux, you and I met in 2009, is that correct?
I believe we met in 2008.
Okay. Before you got married, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you got married in 2009, is that correct?
What the hell does that have to do with the court case?
I believe I was married October 31st, 2008.
Okay. But that's when we met, is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So we've known each other a long time, is that correct?
A long time can mean a lot of different things.
Since 2008.
Correct.
Okay. And we had a familial connection, is that correct?
Yes.
And we always had a friendly relationship, you and I, is that correct?
I wouldn't say always.
Okay. Until what time?
Until probably end of 2018.
Okay. And we spent many holidays together.
We did.
And you and Melanie were married a little over 10 years, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I was there at your wedding, is that correct?
Correct.
And I came to Utah to help you when your first child was born, is that correct?
I'm going to object to relevance.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Correct.
And I was there when your second child was born, is that correct?
You were not present when my child was born, but
Well, I came to help and watched Braxy, so I was there.
you visited with you were with my family. Correct.
Okay. And I flew in from Hawaii when Blake was born to help with the kids, and I watched them while you and Melanie were at the hospital,
again
is that correct?
Object again to character evidence.
Sustain.
And I did watch the kids when Breezy was born as well, is that
Your Honor,
correct?
I'm going to object and ask
Sustained.
to go into 405 soon.
And we went on vacations together, you and I, is that
And
correct?
Ms. Vallow, okay, move on to relevant information, okay? You've established you have a relationship with him that's close family relationship since 2008. So, go ahead.
And you came to visit me in Hawaii a few times, is that correct?
And Your Honor, I'm going to object.
I'm just asking.
Just
in the
like
sense
it's
that it wasn't-
crazy.
It was him coming to me.
All right,
There's things that happened there that I'm going to,
approach.
okay.
Sidebar. She needs to hire Alan Jackson. Okay, write a book. give him the rights to the book, and Alan Jackson will represent you. Okay, that's all she had to do, is give rights to a book deal or a movie deal to one of these attorneys, and somebody would have came in and represented her. I mean, you're talking $1 million book deal. You think about it, Karen Reed is a nobody. Lori Vallow, they done made already Netflix, you name it, they got stuff on Lori Daybell, right? So technically her story's huge. They'll make movies out of Lori Vallow. They won't make shit out of Karen Reed. You know what I'm saying? She's the one that should have the super good attorneys because she's the one that has all the money. She has the power. She can sell that story for so much money. And just think, 10 years from now, TikTokers will get her out of prison like they do everybody. They'll raise $100 million for her, say she was framed. I know she's a narcissist.
Brandon, you and I had never had an argument with each other. Is that correct?
That's not correct.
Okay, when did we ever have an argument? You and I.
I'm going to object to relevance. If there's something specific about that, are we talking in 10 years?
I'll overrule it. You can answer.
The most recent argument that I would say we have is when I was texting you in June.
That was June 25th, 2019. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And had you been upset with me before that time?
Are you talking about ever in our lives?
Yeah.
I'm sure we're all human. I'm sure there was times I was upset with you.
Is there something specific that you were upset with me about before the June 25th text messages?
I'm going to object to relevance if there's something more specific.
Sustain.
Were you upset with me about Juice Island?
I'm going to object as to relevance and 404.
Sustain.
Brandon, you had mentioned before that Melanie and I were close. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you were aware that I loved Melanie. Is that correct?
I can't say if you loved her or not.
But you saw that over the 10 years that you were married to her, right? You witnessed it with your own eyes.
What is it you're asking that I witnessed?
Me loving Melanie.
As I said, I can't state what you did or did not feel. I can't say what you felt.
But I acted in a way that was loving towards her, in as far as you knew.
I'm going to object again to relevance, 404 and 405 character evidence.
Sustain.
So we were all together as a family frequently, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there were times when we were at your house as well as my house, is that correct?
An objection to relevance.
Sustained.
I wish you stopped objecting. Just let them talk. Get it over with.
And until you sent me that text message on June 25th that we read yesterday, you and I had never had any disagreements with each other. Is that correct?
I would not agree with that statement.
You and I had ever had an argument?
Can you ask that question again?
Did you and I ever have an argument?
And again, as to foundation of when,
I'll allow him to answer. You can answer.
I'm sure we had, I don't know how you would define argument, but disagreements.
Face to face, you and I? Before the June 25th?
Hold on.
That's all I'm asking. Just before
Okay,
that.
maybe rephrase it.
So by the time we met in 2008 until June 25th, 2019, did you and I ever have an argument?
Is there something you're looking for that you're trying to specify? And I'm not sure I can, that's a broad question that I can't think of a specific time where we argued face to face, if that's what you're looking for.
Correct. So you and I have never had an argument in our lifetimes.
I wouldn't agree with that. I would say that there have for sure been disagreements between us, but I can't think of a specific time that I could share where me and you face to face argued. I'm not a confrontational person.
Okay. You've known me for all these years. Am I a confrontational person?
And I'm going to object to character
So-
evidence under 404 and 405.
Sustained.
Would you agree that I supported you as a husband and a father to your children?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
So in your testimony yesterday, you talked about this long argument that you had with Melanie. Was that on the same day, on June 25th, 2019?
It was.
Okay. And you said it was a long argument. How long did that go on?
It started in the afternoon and it went through past midnight.
So several hours.
Yes.
And you remember this date because that was the day you sent me those text messages. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say that's the only reason I remember that date. It's a painful date.
Okay. So you remember that date specifically?
Yeah, I do remember that day.
Okay. And you had mentioned that this argument started as a result of Melanie not wanting to attend your grandfather's funeral. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you were aware that Melanie had trauma with all funerals because her mother passed away when she was 9. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Object to relevance.
I'll overrule the objection. He can answer if he knows the answer.
I can't say why Melanie was feeling the way she was feeling. I'm not Melanie.
But you know she had an issue with funerals before your grandfather passed away.
As I said, I'm not Melanie. I can't say what she had an issue with or not.
But you're aware that her mother passed away when she was 9, right?
Yes, I'm aware her mother passed away.
And that she had to go to the funeral.
I'm going to object to relevance.
I'll sustain it at this point. Go ahead. Next question.
But she's your wife of 10 years, so you knew that about her. Is that correct?
And again, I'm going to object to relevance.
Good Lord. Make it stop. We knew it was going to be crazy.
It's completely understandable. That
No,
you would
it
want
was
your wife to
opening
decide on your
statements.
grandfather's
Opening
funeral, so
statements were
disagreement
yesterday.
Between a couple would begin over that issue. That's not
Objection to
far-fetched, right?
testifying.
That's a statement. Can you, if you want to phrase it as a question, go ahead.
So your argument began because of this issue with not wanting to go to your grandfather's funeral. Is that correct?
Yes.
And was Melanie upset or crying at that point?
No, just me.
Okay. So during this long, several-hour disagreement, you would have covered a myriad of topics. Is that correct?
Can you define a myriad of topics?
Just several different things probably came up during this very long argument.
We talked about several different things, yes.
Okay. And one of those things I had come up in the conversation. Is that correct?
One of the things that came up was you getting your temple recommended and me hacking your computer.
So I'm saying I was brought up in that long conversation just the one time?
I don't know if I could say just the one time. It was quite a long time we spent on that particular topic, which was bothersome.
Okay. So as you were trying to change the subject, Melanie was going back to that?
As I was trying to understand why it was important to her, she focused very much on the subject, yes.
Okay. And you had stated before that Melanie saw me as a mother to her, is that correct?
I said a mother-like figure.
Right. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that your mother-in-law would be brought into a very long argument, is that correct?
Objection, speculation, irrelevance.
Or someone close to your wife?
Sustained.
But I was not the focus of that entire argument, is that correct?
My focus was my family, my wife and my children. I love them and I didn't want them to go through pain.
Is that what you spent all those hours arguing?
Yeah, because I love them and I wanted to work through things with my wife, yes. I didn't spend it for any other reason.
And during this argument, there were several issues that you discussed, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And one of those issues was Melanie informing you of text messages that she had viewed?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Is one of those issues a video of you on Facebook dancing at the pink pony that Melanie showed you?
Object to relevance, to 404B evidence, and 403.
Sustained.
Did Melanie show you a video of yourself
Object
during
again
that
to the same
argument?
manner.
Sustained.
What else was discussed in this argument?
Objection, relevance, foundation, something specific.
I'll sustain the objection.
Oh,
How
Lord.
many topics would you say were gone over during this long interview, long argument?
I couldn't say.
This is torture. I hear you.
So until,
I like crazy. So I can sit here and listen to crazy all night.
did I ever answer the text messages that you sent to me?
That's why I take phone calls, because I
never
like
received a
crazy.
reply.
Were you at that point blaming me for that argument? In your mind?
I think that the only people who can be responsible for ourselves is ourselves, so I was focused on myself and my wife.
Okay. So that argument ended up beginning your divorce proceedings, is that correct?
At the end of that argument, she told me that she needed a divorce, correct?
And who filed for divorce?
I did.
And when was that?
In July.
Do you know the date that you filed?
It's complicated because I went and met with a mediator, but she didn't file the paperwork for a while. So I guess it depends on how you define who filed for it and when.
Okay. Did you file it with the court? Like file for divorce with the court?
A mediator did.
Okay. Oh, so you don't know when she actually put the paperwork in, is that correct?
Correct.
When did you meet with her? Do you remember that?
I do.
What day was that?
In July.
But you don't remember which day in July?
We met several times.
Okay. Did you meet with her on your own, or did you and Melanie just meet with her together?
We met with her together.
Every time?
Yes, every time we went together.
Okay. And that started in July?
Correct.
And do you know when that was final?
Mid-October.
And you were able to come to mutual agreements during that time? With the mediator?
Can you give me more, what are you looking for specifically on that?
I'm just saying, the mediation was completed, so you came to your agreements, is that correct?
We filed for divorce, so yes.
Okay. So when was it that Melanie moved into the rental house from the house that you were living together in?
I believe I moved her on July 14th, I believe. I'm not certain.
And then you stayed in the house until what date?
Until my home sold.
When was that?
We got it under contract in September, beginning of September, and closing was October 1st.
Okay. And when did you move into your rental house? What day was that?
Mid-September to late September. It might have been in the 25th, 24th, 26th, somewhere in there.
And then you had schedule with the children, is that correct?
Can you ask that question?
I'm just saying you had agreed to a schedule with the children, is that correct?
Part of our divorce, we had a schedule, yes.
And so on October 2nd, all 4 children were with you, is that correct?
It depends on what time you're speaking about.
Well, they spent the night with you, so they would have woke up with you on October 2nd, is that correct?
On October 2nd night, they slept with their mom. On October 1st night, they slept with me.
Okay. That night turned into October 2nd, is that correct?
If you're saying October 2nd in the morning, then yes. Yes, that would be, my kids would have still been at my house in the morning.
Yes, okay. And then you had taken them to school, is that correct, in the morning?
Correct.
You said that you guys got up, you had food, you were getting ready,
Yes.
normal, typical morning, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then you dropped off your 2 oldest at their elementary school, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you took Breeze to her mom and dropped her off at the park, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you took Blake to his preschool and dropped him off, is that correct?
Correct.
Where is she going with this?
And then where did you go from there?
I went to the gym.
What was the name of your gym? I'm sorry.
EOS.
And you worked out for, you said, an hour to an hour and a half?
Yeah, I wasn't watching it super close, so I can't tell you exactly how long it was.
Okay. And then you drove straight home, is that correct?
From the gym, yes.
Now, on that day, you had an interview with Detective Pillar, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that the first time that you met Detective Pillar?
Yes,
Was on that day on October 2nd, 2019?
correct.
And in that interview, you told him basically what had happened. Is that correct?
I answered the questions that he asked, yeah.
And you told him all about Melanie. Is that correct?
It's a pretty broad question. I don't know that I could say that I told him all about Melanie.
So you discussed Melanie. Is that correct?
We did, yes.
And you discussed me. Is that correct?
We did, yes.
You're sick of the lady. Eh?
And he had asked you kind of what happened. Is that correct?
He asked me what happened? Yes, he asked me what happened.
And you talked about your divorce. Is that correct?
We did discuss parts of my divorce, yes.
And you had told Detective Pillar that someone had convinced her that you were gay. Is that correct?
Can you ask that question again?
You had told Detective Pillar that someone had convinced Melanie that you were gay.
I can't remember if I specifically told him that someone had convinced Melanie that I was gay. I would have to review the conversation I had with him to be able to say for certain that's how I worded it.
Okay. Do you recall telling him that she has a friend named Lori? Melanie?
I did not say she has a friend named Lori. No.
You didn't? Would you like to look at your interview?
I
To
said
refresh
that
your
she-
recollection?
I said that she has an aunt named Lori.
Would you like to review this to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Okay.
Have your, Ms. Hicks? I think she has a exhibit she needs to approach with. She just wants to show him to refresh his memory.
I apologize.
If you want to just read that page to yourself, and then I can ask you a question again. No, that's okay. Thank you. Did that refresh your memory, Brandon?
I read that. I think that maybe a transcriptionist miswrote that because I wouldn't have referred to you as a friend named Lori. I would have referred to you as an aunt named Lori.
Okay. And it was me that you were talking about that convinced her that you were gay? Is that what you were referring to?
In that context, I never said that Lori is the one who convinced Melanie that I was gay.
Okay.
The question is this: is he gay?
So in the second paragraph, it didn't say she's the one that convinced her that I'm gay?
Improper impeachment, refreshing. I'm not sure what she's doing.
Sustain.
Would you like to read it again?
If you would like me to, I can read it again.
Okay. It's line 251.
No, he's not gay. Okay. So she got him on the stand trying to accuse him of being gay with the world watching. Well, I mean, he could like a little bit of both. I mean, it's 2025.
Thank you. Did that refresh your recollection?
Yes, I read a different line. That is.
At
that
least
is
he
the
don't have
251.
corpse
I did
makeup on.
specifically say that I thought you.
That I had convinced her.
Can you ask that
That I
question?
had convinced Melanie that you were gay.
I said that I specifically thought that you had been involved in convincing her that I'm gay. Yes, correct.
Okay. And so she did not show you herself a video of you dancing at the Pink Pony.
Object
Is that
again
correct?
Or have a
to
monkey.
relevance to
Yeah.
404B.
Sustained. It's all sustained.
And what was your understanding of how I convinced Melanie of this accusation?
Or missing hair plugs.
Speculation.
Y'all stop it now. Don't be mean to people. I wasn't mentioning nobody. I just said at least he don't look like a dead corpse. Red crayon. She uses in jail. They use M&Ms. They soak them and then they let it get real thick and then they use it as makeup. Okay, so they use like your basic M&Ms. He was dancing. That's not gay. Depends what type of dancing he was doing. I guess, right? You know, that's open to criticism. Now, if he was dancing to Boy George or Brett Michaels, not Brett Michaels, but George Michaels, he might be a little, questionable. This cannot be real life. It's real. It's definitely real. Okay. What are they doing? Are they looking up if he's likes men or not? Calling a lifeline, maybe. She better be calling a lawyer, is what she better be doing. She got any hope in the world, she better be calling a lawyer because she's in trouble. I mean, she's never getting out of prison anyway. I would razzle dazzle the judge if I wasn't never getting out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, razzle dazzle, WrestleMania, right? I picked the 50-50. She's calling her peeps back home. I don't know who she's calling. She calling her dead brother from hell. Excuse me, Satan. Can I speak to my brother? Oh, it's a sidebar on headphones. Okay. The judge is trying to tell her, look, lady, you sure you don't want to get a lawyer? Because you're dumb as a rock. Everything you're saying has nothing to do with anything relevant. She's calling her dead brother, telling him if he hadn't have missed, they wouldn't have to be doing this. Oh, God, that is so terrible. I thought I was bad. Oh. The judge is polishing his forehead. I'm crazy, but not that far gone. If I had nothing to lose, I wouldn't represent myself. What else do I have to do? Oh, if you had nothing to lose, yeah, that's the same thing I told PJ. I was like, she got life in prison anyway. At this point, what does it matter if she went in there and started strip dancing on the table? It ain't like, what are they going to do to her? But here's the thing with these people that like to get people out of prison, like the Menendez brothers, the West Memphis Three.
Members of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute recess, morning recess. We will resume in about 15 minutes. Please remember the admonition.
Okay. All rise. Let's mute that for a minute. In the future, somebody may try to get her out, saying, that she didn't do the murders, that the man had mental control over her, she was brainwashed, and that she's innocent. And then, time they get a movie dude and HBO and people make these documentaries and make her out to look innocent like they do everybody. You never know, so I guess all court is important when you're thinking about it. Is there a way I could get out? Now, I doubt she'll ever get out, but I guess you would always be hopeful. I mean, I guess, right? You don't want to be too bad because then you might never get up. The jury probably has gay people. Way to go, nut job. Yeah. She should be calling Scotty to beam her up. She ain't never getting out. I don't know why I'm yawning. I slept a lot of hours. So they're taking a 15-minute break, and it's Pride Month. She played the wrong card, I guess. She's definitely crazy. She's definitely crazy. That is for sure. Let me see something. I want to show y'all something. So, since we got a few minutes to kill, I've been working on my building a tiki bar, right, for my outdoor, my backyard near my pool. This, let me see if it pops up. I just got this little tiki today, right? Well, I got two of them. This is the one for my tiki bar. I got it sitting on my pool deck right now, but that ain't where it's going. Can y'all see that? Let me blow it up a little bit for you. This is my one for the tiki bar. Look, it has a little turtle. And his eyes light up. Okay. See the little turtle? It has my tiki bar. Now, I do got another one that's going right here in this place. Let me show y'all that one. Y'all might like this one too. Hold on. See, that one's for my tiki bar. This one's for my pool. What do y'all think about that one? It says Dolly's Pool on it. And it's going to go in the spot that the tiki bar one's in. And that one's going to go, the other one's going to go by my tiki bar when I finish building it. Now, this is a brand new one. This one, the lady just got done painting a sign. So, that's cool. Looking good. Nice. Yeah, so the first one was just a tiki bar one, like I said, that was by my pool. That one is actually going to go by my tiki bar. This one is going to go in place of where that one was. So when you walk up my steps, it says Dolly's Pool. And then, you know. You have a pool? I bet you have stairs also. Yeah, well, how do you think I get in and out of the pool? Yeah, of course I got stairs. I ain't that damn tall. They are fab. That's cool too. Thank you guys. You know, just adds a little something to the yard. But, you know, I like the turtles. You know, both of them have turtles on it. This one has the starfish. The other one didn't. You know, so. Let me see if I can shrink this. Show you both of them. See, my tiki bar one's sitting by the pool right now. But that one, you know, and they're both drinking drinks. You see, they both got a drink in their hand. And the cool thing is the little skirt, like you see the little red skirt. That is actually like a little red skirt. So I got the matching one that goes near my tiki bar. They're a little bit different from each other. Their expressions, but they both have the turtles, which, you know, we the turtle gang around here, so we got to have our turtles. So they were custom made. I know, I like them. Pretty cool. I got to go pick the other one up tonight. Pool party at Dolly's. Yeah. That's my pool. I keep my water pretty clean. You know what I'm saying? I have a fountain too. I have it flipped over right now so it's not spraying. Because it's solar powered. So if you flip it over, it turns off. So right now I got it floating in the water flipped over. But if you flip it back over, it sprays water into the air like a fountain. And they weren't expensive. No, there's this little artist lady that lives about, I don't know, she lives a few miles down the street from me. And she makes all types of wood stuff like tikis. She paints, she does airbrushing. She does a lot of old antique furniture. And then she airbrushes all these beachy themes on them. She does a really good job. I got her card somewhere. Hold on, let me plug her. Let me see if I got her card in my pocket. But she's like a local artist. What did I do with her card? She gave it to me. She has a website. You had to pull was a lot of work. Well, somebody in my chat, I said, well, I'm going to get a pool. And they were like, trust me, get the pool balls for your filter. So I ain't know nothing about pools. But I did get the pool balls for my filter, and it keeps my pool pretty damn clean. Plus, I have a vacuum, and I go in there, and it's a cordless vacuum. So I get in, and I vacuum the bottom of the pool, like, I don't know, every couple days, and you see how clean my pool is. I mean, there ain't a speck of dirt in that damn thing. So the setup I got as far as the vacuum and the pool balls that go in my filter, oh, it keeps it perfectly clean. And then I have a turtle that floats around in here. You can see him way over here. If you look, there's a turtle. And that's what my chlorine is in, this turtle. So the turtle swims around and chlorinates my water. Yeah, so it's kind of turtle themed. And I'm doing the kind of beachy. You really can't see it, but I have all these tiki torches. And then I have that other big tiki that I had carved out of a tree. Do I got a picture of that? I don't think I got one posted. Hold on, I'll show it to you guys. Where's my phone? Maybe I have it on my did I ever post it on my Facebook? I don't think so. Let me look. I might have posted the tiki guy on my Facebook. I gotta look real fast. I post so much stuff every day, so there's like a million posts. I'm constantly posting something on Facebook. I'm sure I would have posted that tiki because that thing was cool. Maybe I didn't. There's my pool at night. Oh, here's the fountain. You can see the fountain now. Let me pull it up, show you guys. This is at night with the LEDs. See the fountain in the middle? Hold on, you can't see it. So see how it lights up with the LEDs? There's LEDs all the way around the pool. So the pool lights up at night. And then the fountain is on in the middle and it lights up with LEDs. So you can see the water spraying up right here. And then I got my gazebo over here in the cut. And then I added 100 foot of these lights. And of course, I have my big dolly banner that hangs up right there. And then it's wrapped up in these different colored Christmas lights, like LED Christmas lights. So the only thing I'm worried about is an airplane landing in my backyard. Okay. It's lit up like it is so lit up back there. Yeah. So, and then I have that other tiki. If I can find it, I wanted to show you guys. What did I do with it? He's so cool too. Maybe I didn't post it. Oh well. I got a picture of it in my phone. I'll have to show it to y'all later. Next break or something. Good Lord. I post a lot of damn videos. So I'm going to try to get my tiki bar built this weekend. If I get around to it. The weather's been terrible, so I haven't had a good chance to get it done. You should make a rise pool deck. I do. I have a deck. You can see that is my deck right here. Look. You're just looking at it past the deck. The deck runs down one side. Where's my picture at? See, there's the deck. You see my ladder on the deck? So what it is, it's like a tri-level deck. I wish I had the other picture I'd show you. When you come up my steps to the back door, there's a lower level porch. Okay. And then there's some steps that lead you up to the high deck. And then you go down some steps and it leads you to a low deck that's just right above the ground. And I have my, like my table and chairs. What do they call that? A dinette with the umbrella and the table and the chairs that go around it. It sits on the low deck. Then it's tri-level. So there's 3 levels to the deck. It goes the ground level, the back door level, and then the pool level. Okay. So, and then I built this planter box, and I did the palm, the mystic palm, and then I did all these little I don't know what them flowers are called, but I did purple ones in the front and red ones in the back. So, yeah, there's a deck. You just can't see it from that nighttime picture because I took PJ took the picture from top of the deck. So she's standing on the deck as she took the pictures. I'm not even done building the deck yet. I haven't put the railings around it. Okay. That's it without the railings. And then the stripper pole. And no stripper pole out there. Not yet. Your daughter set up a pool. She didn't know anything about them. Frogs and tadpoles took up residence. I had some pools like, the cheap inflatable pools before. This is a nice one. And, I never knew nothing about taking care of pools either, but I've been doing a pretty good job. I've had it up now for over a month. And the water's still crystal clear and blue. So whatever I'm doing is right. Is PJ's blueberry bush doing good too? Yeah, it's okay. I don't know if it's doing good per se. I'm about to put some sticky icky plants out there. I don't smoke anymore, but I think they're really, really beautiful plants and they grow really big. So right over here by this fence, by my gazebo, I think and they smell so good. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to grow a bunch of them right here. Of the sticky, because they grow fast by, I would say August, they'll be 4 or 5 feet tall. Look, Judge put Lori's mouth in check. You can't get they take time. Anytime you plant anything to do with fruit, because I have an orchard on the other side of my house. It has like crab apples, peaches. What else I got out there? Plums, different things. I got a whole bunch of, so this one side of my house is an orchard, like fruit trees. And then the other side of the house you see right here is my pool, deck, hangout area. I don't eat the fruit from the orchard. You did a fantastic job with the pool, Dolly. Thank you. Thank you. Now let me get that back to what we were doing. Yes, it's still on. They went to a 15-minute break. So I was showing people the little tikis that I got. Because, I'm tiki theming the whole backyard. So when I'm done, it'll look like you walk out. There's going to be parts that look like little beachy areas because I got a bunch of extra sand that I'm going to put down. I got my cornhole boards that I'm putting up. I got the grill out there going. So I got my grilling area. I got my fire pit. Everything's set up pretty nice. The last thing I want to add is an outdoor movie theater. Like with the 20-foot inflatable screen and then a projector so you can sit out in the back and watch movies, like huge ass movies, so that's going to come eventually. I don't know if I'll get that in this summer or not, but by next summer, I want to have it in. Dolly got his own island, right? I don't know. I'm just trying to build me the chillest spot so I don't never have to leave the house. I hate the outside world, so I'm trying to make my shit the coolest you can make it. And me and PJ talking about, adding I'm going to get me a big, I might build it. I don't know. I build all the deck stuff and all that. And I may build me a big shed, like, I don't know, 12 by 20, and put my studio in there. Because our office takes up a good portion of our kitchen, or well, a dining room we've turned into the office. And I want to be able to put like in the dining room, I want to put, you know how you go into a restaurant and they have the booth with the light that hangs down? I want to do that in my dining room, put a booth in. But right now it's a desk, computer, all the stuff for shipping, all that stuff. So I want to move that into one part of the big garage we're going to build. And then I'm going to use the other half of the garage for my studio.
Make any record that's made. If you continue to do all these things, I may be forced to revoke your pro per status.
I understand, Your Honor. I apologize.
Are we ready to continue with the cross-examination?
So she might not be able to represent herself.
Questions of clarification.
Go ahead.
I mean, when we get up there, that's fine. I'm just going to clarify a few things and then I'll move on
You mean with me or with the witness?
with the witness.
Okay, go ahead and get ready at the podium. Depending on when we finish with this witness, we'll determine when we break for lunch, I guess. It depends on who you have next. We could go to like 12:15 and then start again at 1:15. We can be flexible, but so I guess let's see where we are when we finish with this witness. All right, let's bring the jury in.
All rise to the jury.
All right, members of the jury, please be seated. Thank you. I just had to take care of a legal issue. We'll continue with the cross-examination of this witness. Go ahead.
Yesterday in your testimony, Mr. Boudreaux, you talked about your argument on July 25th, is that correct? I mean, on June 25th with your wife, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you had marital problems in those 10 years or no?
Objection, relevance.
I'll allow it briefly. Go ahead.
Can you define marital problems?
Well, like a course of contention, were there other courses of contention in your marriage during those 10 years?
If you've been married for 10 years, there's definitely times where you don't agree.
Absolutely. So would the fact that you traveled a lot during those 10 years been a course of contention?
Can I object to relevance?
Sustain.
But there are other issues besides what happened that day on June 25th, is that correct?
Can you re-ask that question?
Like you said, a marriage has issues if you're married for 10 years, that's correct?
I'm not sure I understand the question that you're asking. Can you ask it one more time?
Okay. You had stated that, I'll move on so I can be more clear. You had stated that to Detective Pillar that Melani had been going to the temple all the time. Is that correct?
I can't say for certain I stated that to him, but she did go to the temple often, yes.
And that she had prayed about it and God had answered her in a call. Is that correct?
I can't say for certain that I told him that she had prayed about it and God had answered her in a call. If you have a transcript where I could read, I would be happy to read that to verify.
Okay. That's line 240 and 241.
Thank you. That's not what I read there.
Okay. Do you like to tell me what you read?
I'm going to object to improper, I don't know, impeachment, refreshing.
Yeah, maybe, I think what you should do is look at it and maybe rephrase your question.
Okay.
Go ahead and hand it back.
So you had said that God answered her in a call.
In reference to the temple?
In reference to Melani saying that she thought you were gay.
I did, in her saying that she thought I was gay, but that didn't have anything to do with the temple, which was the question you were asking me earlier.
Yeah, so I was saying she frequented the temple. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That was a separate issue. So I was asking that she was convinced of this because God answered her in a call, is what you told Detective Pillar. Is that correct?
What is of this?
Of the fact that she was saying that you were gay.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be, can you ask that question again?
I'm trying to get to the fact that she had her own personal revelation of that idea about you.
I can't say what she was thinking. I can't say why.
But she had
made
conveyed
choice.
that to you, that she had a God answer her in a call.
I'm going to object to hearsay at this point.
Sustain.
Where did you get that information?
Which information are you asking?
Okay. The information that you gave to Detective Pillar that God answered in a call, what was that in reference to?
The line before it was me explaining that I'd have to read the line again. I can't say exactly, but my understanding is that you're speaking about me referencing her talking about me being gay.
Correct. And you're saying that she's the one that prayed about it and God answered her in a call. Is that correct?
Can I read it again? I would like to
Sure.
answer the question the best I can.
Yes. It's 240 and 241.
This lady is nuts.
So that's what where did you get that information that you gave to Detective Pillar that she prayed about it and God answered her in a call?
I can't tell you for certain. I'm guessing that what I was sharing with them there was pertaining to my thoughts on our conversation from June 25th.
Okay, so on June 25th, Melani conveyed to you that she had this belief about you herself. Is that correct?
On June 25th, Melanie told me that she believed that I was gay, correct?
That she herself had that belief?
Yes.
Not that that belief had come from me, but that that belief had come from herself.
Are you asking me whether or not I think that that belief came from you?
No, I'm saying, did she convey to you that she had that belief, period?
Yes.
Okay. And then later in the next line, you tell Detective Pillar, you convey to him that I convinced her of that fact.
Yes.
Okay. What made you believe I convinced her of that fact?
Conversations I'd had with Charles Vallow.
Okay. So did you hear me tell that to Melani Boudreaux?
No.
Did you ever witness me talking to her about you?
Did I witness you talking to Melanie about me
Correct.
at any point?
About this topic, about being gay.
No, I did not witness you talking to her about this topic.
Okay. So you heard it from a third party, supposedly.
I heard it from Charles Vallow.
Okay. But not from me directly. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So on this day, on October 2nd, you conveyed these things to Detective Pillar. Is that correct? That she has a friend named Lori.
Can you ask that question again?
Yes. To Detective Pillar on October 2nd, you conveyed to him that Melanie has a friend named Lori.
As I stated, I think that that's a typo. I believe I said aunt named Lori.
Okay. So she has an aunt named Lori, which would be me. Is that correct?
Correct.
And she's the one who convinced her that I'm gay. Is that correct?
That's, yes, correct.
But you didn't get that information from me or from Melanie. Is that correct?
I would not say that that's correct.
Okay. You got that information from Melanie?
I got what information from Melanie?
Did you get information from Melanie that I convinced her that you are gay?
I inferred from conversations that I had with her that you were the one convincing her that I was
You
gay.
inferred from conversations?
Correct.
Okay. But she did not convey to you. Lori's the one that convinced me, and I know this now to be a fact.
This
because
guy looks
Lori is
aggressive.
The one that convinced me of this.
Yeah.
She never said those words to me, no.
Okay. And she showed you a video that she found on Facebook.
I'm going to object
I'm not gonna say-
again to 404B evidence, to extrinsic evidence, to relevance, to 403 evidence.
Okay. Sustained. We're not talking about the video.
But she had her own reasons that she personally believed these things that had nothing to do with me. Is that correct?
Asked and answered.
Well, I'm
And
also going to
relevance.
sustain the form of that question on Melanie's belief.
Melanie conveyed to you that she had several reasons why she had this, why she was making this accusation to you. Is that correct?
I can't say how many reasons she said. It's been a long time. But I mean, we discussed it at length for a while, and both parties shared their reasons why it was confusing.
Okay. And so Detective Pillar had asked you if she had any sort of evidence to this. Is that correct?
I believe he did, yes.
Okay. And would you like to see your answer to that?
I would love to, yes.
Okay. It starts at line 675.
This lady's nuts.
And what did you convey to Detective Pillar at that time when he asked you what sort of evidence that you had?
I told him that it's silly evidence.
I'm sorry, what?
It's silly evidence.
You told him there was silly evidence?
Yes.
What did you tell him specifically?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again as to relevance.
Well, it's also hearsay. Sustained.
So how are you aware that Melanie had this silly evidence?
And I'm going to object again to just relevance into this area and 404B again.
He can answer the question, how was he aware where he got this information? But
I have no clue to what this woman's doing. If I was her, I would have got a lawyer. It's free.
Conversations with her.
Okay. So she didn't show it to you? She just talked to you about it?
Again, object, Your Honor. I don't know how many times we can object. like
sustained.
this.
Let's move on.
So you called it silly evidence and vague evidence, is that correct?
I'm not sure about vague. I could have.
Is it contradictory for you to tell Detective Pillar on that same day, in the same interview, that I convinced Melanie and that she had her own individual evidence that she presented to you?
I don't believe that that's contradictory, no.
You don't believe that's contradictory?
No.
So how is it that you think I convinced her?
As I shared, I had conversations with other people who shared that that was something that you were doing.
But you never heard them from me or from Melanie, is that correct?
I did not.
Okay. When you were talking to Detective Pillar that day, he had asked you, have you ever seen that vehicle before? And I'm sure he's referring to the Jeep Wrangler. Do you remember what you answered him?
It would be great if I could read it.
Okay. It's line 597. Did that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay. So he had asked you if you had ever seen that vehicle before, and what did you convey to him?
Not that I could recall.
Okay. And then he asked you to tell him more about the Jeep, and you gave him a color. What color did you say that you thought the Jeep was?
I believe olive or puke green.
Okay. And that you had never seen that Jeep before?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Had you ever seen the Jeep in my household before?
Are you asking what I said that day, or are you asking me today?
I'm asking you today. Before October 2nd, had you seen the Jeep in my household before?
I might have. I don't remember for certain.
Okay. And what color do you think the Jeep that was in my household was?
Are you asking what I think it is today, or are you asking what I thought it was that day?
I'm asking what you thought it was before October 2nd.
I don't know that I thought a lot about it, to be honest with you.
And you had never seen it before?
As I said, I can't recall for certain whether or not I had seen it before.
And it had never been parked at your house?
Which house are you talking about?
Your Quinn house.
It could have been. I can't recall.
Okay. And so before October 2nd, you were aware that there was a Jeep Wrangler in my household, is that correct?
Before October 2nd,
Yes.
I believe that at one point, Charles had called me to have me run VINs on all your vehicles because he was looking at insurance at the time. And so I did get the VIN for that vehicle.
Okay, so you knew the details of that vehicle prior to October 2nd, is that correct?
I had received them from him. I hadn't thought about it again.
Okay, but when he gave you those, did you look up the VIN numbers before October 2nd in doing that research for the insurance?
When he gave them to me, I used those numbers to run a report that would allow me to see what options he could have for insurance.
And in that research, were you made aware of the details of the Jeep?
I didn't dive into the details, no.
Okay, so were you aware at that time that it was like a 2-door Jeep or a 4-door Jeep, any of those kinds of details? Before October 2nd?
I can't honestly recall whether or not he told me. I don't know that I needed to know that or that it was something I was thinking about at all.
Okay. But that day it came to your mind, is that correct?
Which day are you talking about?
October 2nd.
Can you give me a little more context on what you're looking for came to my mind?
Oh, on that day, you stated that it was a 2-door Wrangler. Is that correct?
In my conversation with Detective Pillar? Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I probably, it would be better if I read it, if that's okay.
Sure.
Possibly. She's going to ask this dude every question she can think of. What color socks do you have? Did you tie your shoes? Is it my fault that you tied your shoes? I mean, good Lord.
So you told Detective Pillar, or you conveyed to him that it was a 2-door Wrangler, is that correct?
When we're talking about the Jeep that I saw that day, yes, I saw a 2-door Wrangler.
And so my question is, were you aware if the Jeep Wrangler in my household was a 2-door Wrangler or a 4-door Wrangler prior to October 2nd?
As I said earlier, I didn't think about the Jeep that was in your household prior to October 2nd. It wasn't something I had ever thought about other than taking a VIN and running it for insurance for Charles.
Okay, but that's how you acquired the VIN number for that vehicle?
That is how I acquired it.
And when was that about? About what time frame?
I couldn't even tell you. I can't remember.
When did you start doing that car insurance business, auto insurance?
The end of 2018, some point towards the end, one of the last few months of 2018.
Okay, so sometime within that year, he had you run all those numbers just to see if we could get a better insurance rate. Is that correct?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you when exactly.
Okay. Let's go to that day of October 2nd. In your interview with Detective Pillar, you had mentioned that you saw a little boy. Is that correct?
No.
To ask for some foundation.
Yeah, can you narrow
Okay.
that down a little
Sure,
more?
sure. Sure. In your narrative that you're talking to tell what happened to Detective Pillar in your interview, okay, Can I just show it to you and have you?
Your Honor, if she could just ask a question and properly
hold on.
question the witness.
I would suggest you just ask, did you see a little boy that day?
Okay,
If that's what you're getting at.
okay. Did you see a little boy that day, right after the glass had shattered?
No, I did not see a little boy that day.
Okay. And why did you tell that to Detective Pillar if you didn't see a little boy?
I don't believe I ever said that to Detective Pillar.
Okay, would you like to see your interview?
Sure.
It's 4:04. You might want to read that whole paragraph to get some context.
I believe that's a typo.
So what did you think that you said that that's a typo of?
In that context, I was describing the window breaking. Without listening to that conversation, I couldn't tell you what the final word I said was, but I'm pretty confident I did not describe seeing a little boy there.
Okay, so that isn't why you thought that it was a paintball gun, because there was a little boy there?
That is correct. I did not think it was a paintball gun because there was a little boy.
Okay. And so you didn't say you thought it was kids just being kids?
I'd have to review if there's a line where I talked about that.
Okay. .406 to 414. So you conveyed to Detective Pillar that you saw a little boy, you thought it was like a paintball gun or something?
I would object to him
that correct?
saying that. He did not say he said that.
Right, sustain.
So after reading that, do you recall saying something like that?
The context of what I was saying there was I was describing my thoughts that I was talking to the dispatcher when I mentioned the paintball gun. And the context that I was explaining was that my window was broken. And so without seeing a bullet, as I've described earlier, I thought possibly it could be a paintball gun.
Okay. And on your street that day, on October 2nd, were there kids on the street playing paintball?
No,
Oh. Were there kids anywhere walking around?
no.
And what time was this?
What time was what?
The time of this alleged shooting?
I can't say the exact time without looking at when I called 911 right after. So whatever time that was that I called 911.
Okay, so in the morning time, right?
Correct.
And it was like a bright sunny day that day?
Correct.
Okay. So you conveyed to him that you were thinking it was just kids being kids, you know, like a broken window?
I did not convey that to him, no.
You did not say that on line 416?
I conveyed to him what I was thinking when I was talking to the dispatcher.
So why were you telling that to Detective Pillar if you did not believe that?
I just explained why.
Which was what?
I was explaining my thoughts when I was talking to the dispatcher.
So he wasn't asking you a direct question, you were just going over what you said to the 911 dispatcher?
I was explaining in that context that you're referring to what I was thinking when I was talking to the dispatcher, when I said that I thought it might be a paintball gun.
But you had said before you were confused because you didn't even really know what was going on at that moment. Is that correct?
I would not say that's correct.
So you did not convey that maybe somebody really didn't shoot over here?
As I said, I was explaining to him in that context about why I had said to the dispatcher that I thought it might be a paintball gun.
But you didn't believe it was a paintball gun at that time?
Which time are you referring, when I'm talking to Detective Pillar or when I made the 911 call?
Both.
When I made the 911 call, I thought someone was shooting at me. But as I explained, I had the thought nothing had come through my window. So perhaps it was a paintball gun, which I shared with the 911 operator. And when I talked to Detective Pillar, I was certain that someone had shot at me. I could see the bullet hole in my car. And as soon as I saw that, I knew for certain that all of the other things made more sense. And that was exactly what happened.
Okay. So yesterday you talked about you kept driving, right? After
Yes.
you were shot at. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then you went up to where the park was and pulled over. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then you made a U-turn
Correct.
and went back to the house.
Correct.
So you didn't go around the block, but you went to the, just so I understand, you went to the pool, pulled over, turned around and went straight back to the house.
It's a big loop. You can drive either way. I ended up driving the full loop. I think everybody has seen how those streets work. So
Correct.
I did a U-turn up by the park and I came down around the other side and looped back.
Okay. So after the U-turn, you did the loop, full loop around.
Yeah, I finished the loop.
Okay. That makes more sense to me now. Thank you. Then what, you drove back into the driveway? Is that correct? Did you go into the garage?
I did not go into the garage.
So you stayed out of in the driveway, is that correct?
I got out of my car and like I said yesterday, it's a little bit hazy, but I waited and stayed on 911 until the police officer arrived.
Okay. Was your garage door open or closed?
As I explained, when you drive that Tesla, it automatically opens the door when you hit it inside of a certain range. It didn't trigger in the initial drive-through when I was shot at, but when I pulled in my driveway, it triggered, so the garage just automatically opens.
Okay. So when the shooting occurred, the garage door was not open, but after you came back around the loop and drove into your driveway, it did open that second time.
It opens the garage when you pull up, yes.
Okay.
I
And you did
think
not
we're
drive
only
into
going
the
to
garage,
cover
is that
this till they
correct?
go to lunch break
Okay.
because I got
Stayed in the
another
driveway.
video that's coming out.
And
I
did you
need to
stay in the exact
upload
same
it.
place where they took all the photos of the,
I think I can do
Tesla?
that at the same time.
I put my keys up on the dashboard and I didn't move the car until they were done.
okay.
Yeah, let me upload
And
this.
so we heard you on the 911 call where you stepped out and removed the window and then got back in. Is that correct?
Like I said, it's a little hazy. What happened is when you put that car into park, the door will automatically open. And the door automatically opened, the window fell. And from there, I can't remember exactly what I was doing. I remember talking to the 911 operator. I may have walked a little bit towards the street a little or something. And then I just stood right there in the driveway and waited for the first officer to arrive.
Okay, so you were outside of your vehicle at that point when the window fell out.
I may have been. It's been 6 years, so I'm not 100% certain on that part of it.
Okay. But when you say that the window fell, did it fall to the ground or it just kind of crumbled on the door?
Well, it was shattered, so most of it you could see in that picture stayed together and fell. And then a lot of it fell all over my seat, all over me, into the door frame. I could hear it all fall down in there. It fell a little bit everywhere.
Okay, but it was removed from the Tesla over to the side. So did you pick it up and move it or it fell out over where it fell?
That piece fell because you got to remember the door's swinging out. So it automatically opens itself. If there's no sensor, then it'll move further.
Okay, so the window fell onto the ground by itself without any assistance from you?
Yeah, I didn't want to cut myself.
Okay, and then the little glass shards came out as well at that time?
Yeah, they were all over.
Okay, so you never moved the window after it fell out, is that correct?
I didn't touch it.
Okay. So where we see it in the pictures, that's where it landed?
Most likely. I mean, I can't tell you for certain.
Okay. And you may have walked to the end of the driveway. Is that that's what you're testifying to?
What I testified to was that I can't remember for certain, but I stayed on the phone and may have walked, may not have, I'm not certain.
Okay. You had testified yesterday that you thought that the 911 operator told you to stay in the vehicle and you were staying in the vehicle, but you had gotten out earlier. Is that correct?
And when I listened to that call, I didn't hear her tell me to stay in the vehicle. So I don't think she did, but maybe she did. Maybe I'm not remembering correctly.
I think that you conveyed that she had told you that. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so then that conveyance must have been wrong on that.
Okay. So did any of that glass cut you? How were you careful to get out of there without getting cut by the glass?
I can't say for certain. I just think that I would have been careful. I wouldn't want to get cut by glass.
So when the window fell out, the glass fell in towards you onto your lap, or how did that work?
No. The big piece of the glass fell outward, which you can see. And then, I mean, I can't tell you how everything else fell. I don't have like a perfect memory of that. Just fell.
Okay. When you stepped out of the vehicle, the glass that was on you, did it fall to the ground?
I can't say for certain.
And when the police arrived, where were you located when they first drove up?
I believe I was located in my driveway or right near my driveway, and it was a woman who came.
Okay. And if you thought that you had just been shot at, were you not worried about standing there in the driveway where someone could drive by again?
The person that shot at me was in the Jeep, and I had seen them leave. Of course, I was scared for my life, but I was told to go back to my house, so that's where I went.
And I know it all happened quickly, but you were not worried about them maybe doing the loop and driving back around?
There's a lot of thoughts going through your mind when that happens.
Okay. And who arrived first? Who arrived first? Was it Officer Rob?
I can't tell you anybody's names.
Okay.
A woman,
Female officer.
female officer.
Okay. And she began questioning you, is that correct?
Yes.
And you began to tell her what had happened.
I did my best to explain what happened.
And she, at some point, had taken her pin and stuck it in the bullet hole, is that correct?
I don't remember that.
And where were you standing when you were talking to Officer Rob?
I mean, at what point I talked to her for a little bit, so we moved around.
Were you on the driveway
We talked on the driveway,
initially?
I believe on the sidewalk, yeah.
Okay. So was she trying to get you out of the crime scene area where all the glass was?
I can't say what she was trying to do. I'm not a police officer.
When was it that you called your friends to come over?
After I saw the bullet hole, realized that I was really close to being shot. I think a little bit of shock kicked in. I remember feeling a little overwhelmed, and I remember they were very considerate. They, I think when my hands even started shaking, I remember. And then they told me, do I have someone that can be with me? And then my first thought was my dad,
Oh, don't cry.
And then after that, I thought of my friends. I have two really good friends, and that's what I remember is they said I could call them, and so they just came and tried to make things lighthearted, make things easier.
So was that Officer Rob that gave you the permission to call your friends?
I can't tell you for certain.
So was that after she finished questioning you on the events of the day?
She didn't call this
I can't tell
man
you for certain on that either. I don't know.
gay
Was it
and made him
before
cry.
another officer arrived?
Like I said, I can't tell you for certain.
And how long did it take for your friends to show up?
I don't know. I probably was in a little bit of shock. I don't remember how long any of those things were.
Okay. And you had two different friends that showed up. Did they come together?
I think they came separate.
And at that point, when they arrived, was the crime scene tape already up?
I don't remember.
And so they would have had to park outside of the crime scene tape, or you don't know?
I'm sure they did. I don't know, though. I can't testify to that.
And so they stayed with you during that whole day?
Yeah, they were awesome. They dropped everything and they just spent time with me.
And they stayed until the police left?
They did.
Did they stay after the police left?
Yeah, they did.
And you guys went into the house at that point?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did any of the offers enter the house? Any of the officers or any of the detectives?
You'd have to ask them. I think they said they had to clear the house, but I can't remember. Like I said, I think I was in a little bit of shock for a little bit there.
And do you know if any of the officers entered the garage?
I'm sure people entered the garage, yes, at some point. I can't tell you when.
And when you got on the phone and called your friends, did you call them or did you just text them?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And who was it that came to help you that day, your friends?
My friend Mark Bell and my friend Chris Pierce.
Did either of them get interviewed by the police?
You'd have to ask the police. I'm not sure.
Did you see any of them getting interviewed by the police? Did the police ask them direct questions in front of you?
I can't recall.
So by the time they arrived, were you done with your interviews with police?
No.
So when you were having this interview with Detective Pillar, where were your friends?
When I left for my interview with Detective Pillar, we were all sitting in the shade over underneath the tree. I don't know where I was with Detective Pillar, so I don't know where they were at that time.
And where was your interview conducted with Detective Pillar?
Inside of his car.
In a police car?
Yeah. Okay.
And about how long do you think this interview lasted?
It's a long time ago. I don't know.
And then after you had your interview with Detective Pillar, you rejoined your friends?
I did.
Did you interview with anyone else besides Officer Rob and Detective Pillar?
Not that I can recall, but I may have talked to other officers. They might ask me questions.
So other officers were around there and they were asking you questions as well?
I didn't say that. I said I may have. I can't remember for certain.
So there were several people from the Gilbert Police Department in your vicinity on your property?
It seemed there was a lot of police there because a shooting occurred, I assumed. I
Okay.
don't know the police process.
But you don't remember anybody else asking you any specific questions? Is that correct?
I don't remember any questions that anybody specifically asked, and I don't remember if they asked me questions or not.
Any follow-ups to what Officer Rob had talked to you about or anything?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Brandon, how many communications since October 2nd until now have you had with Detective Pillar?
I have no idea.
How many phone calls would you say over the last 5.5 years?
No idea.
More than 10?
I'm sure more than 10, yes.
More than 20?
Like I said, I couldn't testify to the exact number, so I have no idea.
A lot?
I talked to him about my case.
More than 100?
I honestly can't tell you. I have never looked to try and figure it out.
Okay. How about text message communications with you and Detective Pillar? How many times have you communicated with him through text message in the last 5.5 years?
I've never counted, so I don't know.
More than 10?
I'm sure it's more than 10.
More than 100?
That I can't testify to. I don't know.
How about emails to Detective Pillar?
Same
How many
thing.
email communications have you had with him in the last 5 years?
I can't testify. I don't know.
More than 10?
That I'm not sure. I couldn't even tell you if I have had more than 10.
Brandon, I'm going to show you what's marked as potential exhibit 192, defense exhibit.
Can I see it first?
Do you recognize that as an email between you and Detective Pillar?
I can't tell you what this is. I can tell you what it says. I can't tell you if this is something that, where it came from. I don't have any reference on it.
I'm going to object, and maybe we can,
Let's break for lunch. Is the party's good with resuming at 1:15?
yes.
All right, members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch break. Please. review the
Okay.
information. We'll-
This lady is absolutely crazy. Listen, guys, I'm going to wrap it up right here at lunch. We will continue it for a full day tomorrow. I have a bunch of stuff that I need to get done. I got a video that I made that I'm airing at 6. Okay. So in just a couple hours, it'll come out. I'm still working on a thumbnail to bait people in. I'm just kidding. But it's a good video. You need to watch it. Make sure you leave some comments, like it, all that stuff, share it. This lady's batshit crazy. And yeah, I will be back tonight, sometime tonight for a live. But I do got this video that I'm going to air, and I need to work on the thumbnail. And I got some stuff that I need to do as far as merchandise that I need to get done tonight, so me and PJ can get it shipped out as far as t-shirts, lotions, and body washes. So if I stream constantly, I won't get nothing done. So I got to get out of here. You be good, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.